Welcome to the Our Team Podcast, powered by eXp Realty. Are you an agent looking to level up? Are you someone looking to buy or sell real estate? Fantastic. This is the show for you.
You guys, thank you so much for joining us on the Our Team Podcast. We are excited to have two absolute rock stars with us today. You are here because you are on the Our Team, and this is the Our Team Podcast.
That's right.
So
Very excited.
You are excited.
Very.
I see a new level of excitement on you right now that I've never really seen before. So I think it's the mic and the headphones and the cameras. Maybe the light too.
Probably.
You're glowing.
Makes it all real.
Gabe is glowing like a pregnant woman right now. You know what I mean? He's got that so excited to be here.
He's got that young chipper spirit like I did on my first one.
That's right.
This is his first podcast.
Yep.
This is
my
not your
first podcast.
That's right. Luke's done this before.
Just one time, but
That's cool.
I'm glad to be back.
Do you know why you're back?
I don't. I'm prepared for whatever's coming, but I don't know what's coming.
There's an acronym for that. Do you remember what it is?
You did a whole workshop about it. I think it was AIO.
AIO. Okay,
Adapt,
so what is it?
Improvise, overcome.
Very good. Those are very wise words. And I think that's what we should do in real estate, right? Adapt, improvise, overcome.
That's right.
That's how you be successful.
Just in life in general.
In life in general, yeah. Even a pregnant woman like Gabe
Exactly.
can do those things. I'm sorry, bro. You know, I'm just picking on you because I love you.
First Our Team baby.
The reason why you're here is because you guys both came onto the team about the same time. You are both getting some traction, writing offers, getting some things in escrow, and you're starting to take off, right?
Right. Yep.
It's fun. It's actually exciting. So exciting. Gabe's already talking about should I incorporate? Should I do an S corp? No, that's a little too soon for that. But I like your forward thinking. You know, that you're even thinking of that is a really good sign that you're going to be crushing it, right? And so you want to be prepared for those things. Mm-hmm. The reason you're here is because I've noticed that you guys are doing things differently, right?
Yes, sir.
You, Gabe, you're one of those guys who's fearless on the phone. So you have this huge list and you're on the phone making calls every day.
Yep. Every day and door knocking every single day.
It's incredible.
Just about every day.
Luke, you don't do any of that.
Well, I do make phone calls, but
Yeah.
not to the extent that Gabe does it.
Right.
And I have never door knocked a day in my life.
Right.
So it's completely different.
Yeah.
Totally two different avenues of what I'm doing. But no, it seems to, at least for Gabe, I wish I had the courage that Gabe does on the phone.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
I see him in the office. He locks himself, in the office, and he's making
the calls.
3 hours of calls a day.
Yeah.
And I really am. I'm a little bit jealous, just because he just, like you said, no fear on the phone. Yeah.
He's exceptional with that. But see, the thing is you can be successful. There's so many different ways: door knocking, making the calls, hitting your farm digitally instead, or a combination of all of them. But that's what I wanted to talk about. And it doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out podcast, but I wanted to pick Luke's brain a little bit about what you're doing and what's been the most successful for you. And I wanted to show and express to our audience that Gabe's doing just as well, and he's doing things completely different. So let's talk about that. So let's start with you, Luke. What are you doing? How are you getting the traction?
Yeah.
And what's working?
So what's working is technology. So I've taken the route of paid ads through Facebook. So what I've done is I've run an ad in one of our local cities, Menifee, and price-reduced homes in Menifee.
Gotcha.
And I'm running the ad in 2 locations. In Menifee itself, to get people that are in the area maybe to do an upgrade or upsize, downsize, and then as well as down south in a city, Escondido. So it's got 2 circles of areas where the ad is running, and so $10 a day. I've run it for the past month, and the amount of people that have come in has been incredible.
It's profound, huh?
It's been so in the last 30 days, I have pulled in and been in communication with over 200 people.
It's incredible.
And now the numbers on that is I can see how many people have seen the ad. So I'm about 7,000 people have had it come up on their screens, whether it be phone, tablet, laptop. And through that, those people have clicked on the ad, have come into my system through a system we use, KV Core.
Yep.
And so I'm able to see, what they're looking at,
Yeah.
and then I get their phone number, and then the next day, I give it a day. I don't call them right away. I don't go and say, "Hey, you clicked on my ad."
Right.
I give them a day to look, and then I call them the next day and I ask.
Right.
60% of them are kind of just using it as a home looking.
Sure.
They're just kind of looking. It's
That's
kind of like
fine.
looking on Zillow and looking on Redfin and all that.
Yeah. You're giving them free access. So
Exactly.
they're taking
free,
advantage
yeah,
of it.
free
Yeah.
access. Take a look at my. The other 40% have been really solid leads.
Incredible.
I'm working with 2 right now that are. We're probably going to be going to view homes physically probably in the next 20 days or so.
Yeah.
Now, most of them are in a lease.
Yeah.
And that's been my biggest hurdle. They're about 6 months, 9 months out from buying, but it's future buyers.
Right, and that's typical of a social media type of a lead.
Mm-hmm.
They're usually 6 months to actually 18 months out.
Mm-hmm.
They're way out. Whereas Zillow lead is pretty much ready to go.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
They're, in most cases.
Yes, in most cases, they're right on it.
Yeah.
So, but technology has been my friend because pulling in 6 to 8 people, I'm usually pulling in on average 6 people a day
Incredible.
through the ad. Some days it's hotter, some days it's
How
less.
did you set up that ad?
So through Ads Manager on Facebook,
Yeah.
and I got some great help through a guy on our team. His name's Brian Auer.
I've met him.
He's great.
Yes.
And so
One of the most handsome guys in the office.
one of, definitely. He's in the top 3.
One. The top 3 are standing right here.
I think so.
Yeah, I think I'm number 1.
I think. Well, he is the youngest, so
He is the youngest. He's got that glow.
He's got the youngest skin, that's for sure.
That's definitely true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's really
Yeah.
that's exciting. So you got your hitting it digitally. You're not just doing that though. You're also hitting your farm.
Correct.
You have a farm, and instead of knocking on those doors, you are at some point you have to knock on the doors in your farm. It's those who say I have a farm and they're not active in it on that level, like boots on the ground level, are not going to get the traction that is required to really own a farm.
Definitely.
So a couple examples of that are doing a couple of food drives a year or something like that. We're actually knocking on the door and doing a little bit of an elevator pitch through the screen or through the Ring camera. So you're at least hitting them. But you can do it digitally. What are you doing in your farm digitally?
So every week I send out an update of new listings that are happening in Menifee itself because my farm is up in Menifee.
Yeah.
So I have I've got about 500 homes in the farm that I'm working currently.
Cool.
Looking to expand it over another street to get about 300 more homes added into it. So
That's
every
smart. You want to keep it manageable.
Yes, yeah. I didn't want to jump in and go, well, I'm going to take on the whole city.
Yeah.
So,
No, it happens a lot. I ask people, where's your farm? Oh, it's Menifee. No, but where is it? It's Menifee.
right.
You can't have. Menifee has 80,000 people.
I think so. Yeah, it's definitely up there.
Yeah.
So through sending out current updates, updating people about listings, about local events, we send out a monthly newsletter through
Yeah.
the Hour team.
Yep.
As well as I try to send out one video a month, just so people see my face.
Branding, yeah.
Because one of the biggest things is if you have a farm, you want to be the number one agent in that farm.
Right.
And we always hear about, there was an experiment done of, they knocked on a neighborhood. They said, who's the number one agent in your area? No one had a clue. Well, they spent
Yeah.
6 weeks sending out postcards. They went back to those same 100 people and said, oh, it's the guy who I get a weekly postcard from.
Right. Exactly.
So I want to be the number one agent. So whenever they think of, I want to buy, I want to sell, or I know someone who wants to buy or sell, they think of me.
Exactly. That's what it's all about, being top of mind. So, Gabe, you're doing things a little more old school,
Yep.
but we're finding that old school works really well. I'm going to tell you for 2 reasons old school works. Because old school is becoming new school because everyone dropped it for so long that the agents that are out there knocking on their farms, knocking on doors, they're the only ones that are doing it. They're the only ones. So you have no competition. So tell me about it. How's it going?
So I found that I can generate a lead for every hour that I door knock. And
So
a
you're
lead,
tracking and you're measuring.
Oh, yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
Okay.
In an hour, I can door knock around, on average, it's around 30 doors.
Okay.
I can have 10 conversations, and I can generate 1 lead every hour of door
Wow.
knocking. And a lead is just somebody that was interested enough to get a CMA, and I got their information. So you also mentioned cold calling. When I started off, I did start off doing a lot of cold calling, but I found that door knocking, the results are way better,
Yeah.
and the quality of the contact is there. Because if I call someone and they can just say, "Oh, I'm not interested," and then just hang up
Right.
literally right off the bat. When I'm door knocking and we're face to face, they're more inclined to have a conversation with me,
Right.
because they feel more bad just slamming the door in my face.
Yeah.
So the quality of the contact is there.
Can I ask this question? What does it sound like? So you're knocking on the door, and by the way, we can't just gloss over the fact that you're tracking and measuring, because I don't think you can have a sustainable business if you're not doing two things: relying on some form of automation and tracking and measuring. Those are
Right.
two very, very important things. So, and you're doing both of those. What does it sound like when you knock on the door? So I'm not asking you to role play right now, but just in general, what's the script?
Well, you know what? I mean, it really depends. I mean, I go for expired listings. So on a Monday, I'll find the expired listings in that morning, and I'll print out a CMA, and I'll go to the expired, and I have an expired script. And then a lot of the times they're not even home. So to maximize my time as efficiently as I can, I'll door knock that, I'll circle prospect area. So I'll door knock the expired, and then when I go to the next door and I'm around the neighborhood, I just say, "Hi, good morning. My name is Gabriel. I'm a local realtor with the Our team in Temecula. I was just meeting with a potential client just down the street, and I want to stop by and introduce myself." As I'm saying that, I'm handing them my business card, and then I just wanted to find out if you've had any thoughts of selling within the next 12 months or so.
Yeah.
99% of the time they're like, "No, I'm okay. I'm not interested."
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, just out of curiosity, if you were to move, would you stay in this area or would you move out of the area? And then you can elaborate on that, and then you go from there. And but that's the script.
That's beautiful. That's exactly right. Yeah, just when someone says, "No, I'm not ready to move," well, that's fantastic. When you do move, you're going to stay local or get out of the area. If you can get them to that next level of interaction, then you have, if you can keep them on the doorstep for 5 minutes, you've won them, right?
Yeah.
So that's excellent. It warms my heart that you're doing things that you're taught here and you're actually doing them. It's really, really cool, because we provide on this team a lot of really good nuggets, but not everybody will drink from the trough. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
But that's really cool. So how are you then, how are you working with those? And by the way, I think that's brilliant. You're going there with purpose. That person's not home, but you're using that as leverage. You're leveraging that, being able to say, so it's not so awkward. I'm here randomly because I'm in the neighborhood. You're actually there for a reason. I was meeting with another potential client, so that's why I'm here. That takes a lot of the weirdness out of it,
Yeah.
So it's really good to incorporate that. I always did that when I door knocked. I'm in the area because of this. I thought I would reach out to you for these reasons. So, very cool. How are you following up with those prospects then?
So I'll get their info, and I tell them okay, if they wanted a CMA, I'll be like, all right, well, I'll get right to work as soon as I'm done door knocking for today. And when I get home, I will send them the CMA, and then I'll text them saying, "Hey, I sent over the CMA. Let me know if you got it." And then I'll usually call them at the end of the day and ask what their thoughts were. And
You're emailing it over to them?
Yeah, I'll email
or
it.
texting. So that means during your conversation with them, you're saying, what's a good number for me to text you? What's a good number for you?
Yeah. So I'll get their email and their phone number at the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then and then from there, I put them on an automatic on automation, so they get emails. I created my own campaign for specifically for sellers. I have one specifically for buyers, because sometimes I knock on the door and they're like, "Oh, we're renting."
Right.
I'm like, "Okay, even better." When you have you had any thoughts of owning a home?
Right.
And so I have a separate campaign for that, and I automate it to where it'll text them every 30 days, and it reminds me to call them every other week.
Right.
And I have to. it just depends on what time frame they gave me. Like, if it's 6 months from now, I'll call them every other week.
Right.
If it's a year from now, I'll call them every month.
Right, once a month.
Yeah.
You don't want to bombard them too much.
Yeah,
right.
no.
Yeah, I found that it's so much easier to get someone's phone number if you say, "What's a good number for me to text?" Right, it's the same thing. Right?
Yeah.
Right. But if you say, "Can I get your phone number?" It's almost intrusive. But hey, what's a good number for me to text? Because that way I can shoot you over some information or whatever.
Right.
But that's really cool that you're getting the numbers, you're getting emails, and then your automation is just going to really crank it up for you. So
Yeah.
I love it.
It's all about just building the pipeline. Cause like right now, like obviously like I haven't closed a deal yet. Like I've only been door knocking for 2 months.
Yeah.
So I just think like all the door knocking I do now, all the cold calling I do now, this is going to be business 3 months, 6
Right.
months, a year from now, 2 years from now. Like,
And it's so important to build that behind the scenes because you're taking the low hanging fruit as it comes. The Zillow calls and some of the other things where it's almost like a come list me or I want to buy this house, and you're already writing offers for people, right? So that means you're doing the stuff that's kind of coming easy while you're building this huge foundation. That's really that pipeline. So that's really exciting to see.
I always say that Gabe is doing the thing.
Yep,
Because everyone talks about how do I become a realtor?
Yeah.
You do the thing.
You got to do the thing. I was just talking to your dad about that. You got to just do the thing. I mean, I know that sounds so ridiculous. I first heard that from Tom Ferry. He was like, if you just do the thing that is working for you, do that. If you just do that, you'll crush it. Because what's working for you is not going to work for someone like Alita on our team, right? She's not going to do that. But she'll do a ton of the other things, and she'll do the thing. So anyway, well, that's really why I have you guys on here. I wanted to let people see that there can be a big contrast in the way you do business, and you can be very successful. So I'm really proud of both of you, and it's great to have you on our team. Any closing statements? Luke, closing statement.
Closing statement is definitely going to be from when Gabe walked in here. The first time I kind of met him, I didn't think he was going to be such a powerhouse.
Yeah.
He locks himself in an office and calls, and he deals with rejection, door slamming in his face every day. And for me, that's a little harder.
Yeah.
So I am, like I said, a little bit jealous, but I look at the way he runs his business and I go, man, that's incredible.
Yeah.
It's awesome to know that there's more than one way to run your business, and whatever works for you, you should continue doing that.
Love it. What about you, Gabe?
thanks, Luke.
That's your closing statement.
No, I'm kidding.
Thank you, Luke.
No, I mean, I just want to say thank you, Brian, for all the coaching and mentoring that you do for me. I mean,
It's my pleasure.
you give me a lot of tips and stuff that helps me with my business. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Luke, for the praise.
Of course.
And, but yeah, I think one of the biggest things is getting in your own way. Like there's been a lot of times where I'm like, I really don't want to door knock today, or I don't feel like cold calling, or I don't feel like doing anything, or I need a day off or whatever. But really it's just getting past that mental barrier.
Yeah.
Is what is mainly like one of the biggest things for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it.
After
All
about
right.
21 days of it, you get into this habit. That's a wonderful habit, and then you start cranking it. So,
That's right.
yeah, I love it. Well, thank you guys very much for being here.
course.
We'll do this again in another few months, and we'll see how many
For sure.
escrows you guys have.
We'll see where we're at.
Catch you guys later. Thanks for watching.
Peace, everybody.
Hey, wait, before you go, would you do us a favor? If you found any value in this content, would you please like and subscribe to it? Maybe even leave a comment. It really helps us out.